Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be my June reading wrap-up. I've read 10 books in the month of June and I will give you the synopsis, a mini review, and my rating. If that interests you, then just keep on watching. I started off the month on a low note with Twisted by Emily McIntyre. This is the fourth book in the Never After series, and I gave this 2 stars. The Never After series are fairy tale reimaginings, but with a dark contemporary romance twist to them. Twisted is inspired by Aladdin, so we have like a Jafar character and a Jasmine character, and this did not work for me. It felt very icky to me. Sam and I buddy read this and neither of us enjoyed it. After that, I read Darling Girl, which you would have seen in my Peter Pan reading vlog. This is by Liz Michalski and it is a magical realism and mystery take on a Peter Pan retelling, which is something a bit different from the others I've read. This absolutely had me gripped and invested at the very beginning, but as we went along, it really lost steam for me. I ended up giving this 3 stars. The next book Sam and I buddy read was Devourer of Men by Nikki St. Croix. This is her newest release and is a spin-off from the Vicious Lost Boys series, which we buddy read previously, and I absolutely devoured this book, pun intended. I loved it so much and actually wish it was longer. I gave this 4 stars. This is another Peter Pan kind of retelling, but in this one we are mostly following Captain Hook. Really enjoyed it. I reread A Dawn of Onyx by Kate Golden, this time on audiobook in preparation to finally read the second book that came out this year, Promise of Peridot. It did up my rating from a 3-star to a 3.5 star, so I did enjoy it more, but I still don't completely buy into their romance. I don't know, something about it just doesn't really work for me. I also feel like the series lacks a bit of world building. Like, she set up this really cool kingdom where all of these different places are inspired by gemstones, but beyond that we don't have a ton of world building around that, if that makes sense. So then my first arc from NetGalley, I read Queen of Roses by Briar Bolin. This is the first book in the Blood of Fae series. This is a King Arthur retelling fantasy romance. I really enjoyed this. I give it 4 stars. I definitely recommend it. It felt like a really fresh take on a retelling. Our main female character is Morgan, and her eldest brother Arthur takes the throne, King Arthur, and he is not a good guy. We have this big quest plot line and I liked it so much. I finally read Iron Flame by Rebecca Yarros. You know, I have been putting this off pretty much since the day my pre-order arrived. I have felt really anxious about reading this book, but I got it done in the month of June and I ended up giving it 4 stars. Definitely not as good as Fourth Wing. It could have been shorter. I feel like we rehashed the same discussions again and again. The ending, where do we go from here? I'm very excited about the 3rd book. Another book I'm happy to finally have off my TBR is The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue by V.E. Schwab. This has been on my radar since it released, and I gave this 4 stars. We are following Addie LaRue as she goes through her life, her very, very long life, and nobody remembers her for centuries until someone does. There is so many layers and nuance to this book. I feel like it's a good book club read. There's a lot of discussions to be had about topics covered in here. 4 stars. Really enjoyed it. I read The Woman in Me by Britney Spears on audiobook finally. It was a very quick read. I don't rate memoirs, but I did really enjoy getting more insight on what her life was like under the conservatorship, especially. A book I previously DNF'd and it should have just stayed unfinished is The Blood is Love by Karina Halley. This is the 2nd book in the Dark Eyes duet, a paranormal dark romance with vampires. I gave this 2 stars. I don't like this. It feels in part very juvenile and in other parts very graphic, both in the spicy scenes, but also there are some like gory scenes. I didn't like this book. Then I read The Kiss of Deception by Mary E. Pearson. This is a YA fantasy novel, the first in a trilogy. We are following Princess Leia as she flees from an arranged marriage. She wants freedom and she wants to marry for love, and she doesn't want anything to do with being royalty, as she is the first daughter, which has significance in this world. We are following her as she runs away to start a new life, but we also have 2 male POVs. One is the prince that she was supposed to marry, and he was actually looking forward to getting to know her and wants to see why she ran away. And then also there's an assassin who has a problem with her family, and as she is the first daughter, she is dangerous in certain ways that I won't spoil, so the assassin is sent off to kill her. We are getting both of these male POVs without knowing who is the prince and who is the assassin. They keep crossing paths with Princess Leia on her journey, and that plot line was just done so well. However, I thought this book was like 350 pages. It's nearly 500 pages, and when I was reading it, it felt long. I feel like this could have been shorter. There's a lot of mundane day-to-day in the middle part, but I will be continuing the series. I gave it 3 stars if I didn't say that already. And I finished off the month of June on a very high note. We started on a low note, we're ending on a high note. I had a 5-star. This is Check and Mate by Ali Hazelwood, a YA romance, chess themed, but you don't have to know anything about chess to enjoy this. I really liked it. I don't really have an interest in chess or know much about it at all. We are following Mallory, and she used to play chess with her dad, but after something happens in her life, she swears off chess, but her friend begs her to participate in this like charity event because they're missing one person. She ends up being put up against Nolan, who is #1 in the world. Why he's at this really small charity event, I guess it's not that small. It's set in New York, so maybe not. Anyways, they get paired up for some other reason or another, and she beats him, which blows everyone's stinking minds. She's drawn back in, and then it's a romance between them. This has a very fun YA romance tone. However, she's like 18 or 19 and he's in his early 20s. There's some more mature content in here, so I would say it's more new adult. I was absolutely giddy over this book. My cheeks hurt from smiling. I laughed. I cried. I loved this so stinking much. So those were the books that I read in the month of June. Not my best reading month, but I knocked some very intimidating books off of my TBR that I'm feeling really good about. I'm especially happy with the number of physical reads I was able to get through and help me reduce my ever-growing physical TBR. Let me know in the comments what your favorite book was that you read in the month of June. If you enjoyed today's video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up so that I know, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye!